In today's episode, we're diving into a wild scenario. What if tigers were introduced to Australia? Now, before we get started, let's be clear, this is purely hypothetical. Australia already has its hands full with invasive species, and we're not advocating for adding another to the mix. But for the sake of scientific curiosity and a bit of Aussie-style imagination, let's explore this crazy idea. Picture this, it's 2025, and a group of well-meaning but misguided conservationists decide that Australia's ecosystem needs a shake-up. They argue that with the extinction of the Tasmanian tiger, the continent is missing a crucial apex predator. Their solution? Introduce Bengal tigers to the Australian wilderness. Now, before you start thinking this is completely bonkers, remember that Australia has a history of introducing species with, let's say, mixed results. From cane toads to European rabbits, the land down under has seen its fair share of ecological shake-ups. So, our hypothetical scenario begins with the release of a small population of tigers in the northern parts of Australia. The conservationists choose areas like Kakadu National Park in the Northern Territory and the Daintree Rainforest in Queensland. These regions are chosen for their similarity to the tiger's native habitats in Asia, with tropical and subtropical climates. At first, the tigers seem to adapt well. They find plenty of prey in the form of feral pigs, an invasive species that's been causing havoc in Australia for years. The conservationists pat themselves on the back, thinking they've killed two birds with one stone, or rather, one tiger with two problems. But as any ecologist worth their salt would tell you, introducing a new apex predator to an ecosystem is like throwing a wrench into a finely tuned machine. The effects ripple out in ways no one could have predicted. First, let's talk about the immediate impact on native wildlife. Australia's fauna, having evolved without large predatory cats, are woefully unprepared for the tiger's hunting prowess. Kangaroos, wallabies, and even smaller crocodiles suddenly find themselves on the menu. The population of these native species begins to decline rapidly in areas where tigers roam. On the flip side, some native species actually benefit from the tiger's presence. Small mammals and birds that were previously preyed upon by feral cats and foxes see a resurgence. The tigers, it turns out, are quite effective at controlling these introduced predators. Now, let's shift our focus to the human side of things. Australian farmers, already battling drought, floods, and various pests, now have a new worry: tigers. Livestock, particularly cattle, become easy targets for these big cats. The agricultural industry goes into panic mode, demanding government action to protect their herds. The government responds by implementing a tiger management program, which includes building tiger-proof fences around farmlands. This leads to a boom in the fencing industry but also fragments the landscape, affecting the movement of other wildlife. But it's not all bad news for the human population. The introduction of tigers leads to an unexpected tourism boom. Wildlife enthusiasts from around the world flock to Australia for a chance to see tigers in a new and unique setting. Ecolodges and safari-style tours pop up, providing a boost to local economies. However, this also leads to increased human-tiger conflict. Despite warnings, some tourists get a bit too close in their quest for the perfect selfie. The first tiger-related human injury makes international headlines, sparking debates about the ethics of the whole experiment. As years pass, something fascinating begins to happen. The tigers start to adapt to their new environment in ways no one anticipated. They become more nocturnal to cope with the Australian heat and develop a taste for new prey species. Even more intriguingly, over several generations, subtle changes in the tiger's appearance begin to emerge. Their stripes become slightly more muted, providing better camouflage in the Australian bush. Scientists are amazed, witnessing evolution in action at an unprecedented pace. But it's not all smooth sailing for our introduced tigers. The harsh Australian climate poses significant challenges. Droughts, which are becoming more frequent due to climate change, lead to water scarcity and a reduction in prey animals. Some tigers struggle to survive in the more arid regions. Bushfires, another hallmark of the Australian landscape, create additional hazards. While tigers are adaptable, the intensity and frequency of these fires pose a serious threat to their populations. On the bright side, the introduction of tigers to Australia becomes a scientific goldmine. Researchers from around the world descend on the continent to study this unique situation. They gain new insights into adaptive behaviors, predator-prey dynamics, and the impact of apex predators on ecosystems. The research leads to breakthroughs in conservation science, providing valuable lessons for managing ecosystems worldwide. It turns out, the Australian tiger experiment advances our understanding of ecology in ways no one could have predicted. As you might expect, the tiger introduction program becomes a hot political issue. Environmental groups are divided, with some praising the ecological benefits and others decrying the impact on native species. Indigenous communities, whose traditional lands are affected, demand a greater say in tiger management. The debate spills over into popular culture. Internationally, the Australian tiger experiment is watched with keen interest. Other countries with dwindling tiger populations begin to consider Australia as a potential refuge for their own tigers. The idea of using Australia as a Noah's Ark for endangered species gains traction. However, this also leads to concerns about Australia becoming a dumping ground for problematic species from other parts of the world. The United Nations convenes a special committee to discuss the ethical implications of large-scale species translocation. As our hypothetical scenario stretches into the future, the long-term consequences of the tiger introduction become apparent. The Australian ecosystem, already unique, evolves into something even more distinct. New species interactions emerge, leading to unexpected evolutionary paths for both predator and prey. The tigers themselves, isolated from their Asian cousins, begin to diverge genetically. Taxonomists debate whether to classify them as a new subspecies, Panthera tigris australis, the Australian tiger. So, what have we learned from this thought experiment? Introducing tigers to Australia would be a massive ecological gamble with far-reaching consequences. While the idea of seeing tigers roaming the Australian outback might seem exciting, the real lesson here is the importance of protecting existing ecosystems and the species that have evolved within them over millions of years. As we wrap up this wild ride of an episode, remember, in the real world, the best thing we can do for tigers is to protect their natural habitats in Asia. And for Australia, let's focus on conserving the incredible native species that make this continent unlike any other on Earth. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe. See you in the next episode of Wildlife Wonders Journal.